There we go. All right. So this week, guys, this week, what did I title it again? I titled it Rage Against the Machine Tutorial. Okay. So what I'm going to do this week is we're going to have a bit of a lucid play with how to be persuasive in your community. Now, these tactics can be used in any form of life. So it could be, you could use the tactics at work to get something you want to do. It could be in a public association. It could be a club or something you're in. It could be in a business. Or it could be to help others who don't potentially have as much power as you might have. But also, I think that this could be quite powerful politically as well. So don't focus on the politics of this, just focus on the mechanisms. So I'm not trying to teach you politics. I'm trying to teach you the mechanisms of how to manipulate outcomes. So the example I'm going to start with, I'm just going to share my screen. Share my screen. Can people see my screen?
No. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you can see my screen now. All right. So last year we had a Victorian state budget. Okay. And we've got the budget papers, and these come out every year. So we've got a strategy, we've got a speech, we've got a strategy and outlook. We've got what's going on in service delivery. We've got a state capital program. We've got a statement of the finances, a performance statement, and a budget overview. Okay, so we've got all these documents. Now, what happens in the politic is the government leaks a whole bunch of stuff. They put out a few days before the budget what they want to talk about. And then once the budget drops, the media only has a few hours before the budget comes out, I believe. It's called like a lockup. They go in there, they see what's there, and then they quickly report. And then the next day, the government has like all these attack lines. They've got all these things that they go out in the media and they say about the budget to try and persuade the public that the budget's good. And then about 2 or 3 days later, I think it's 2 days, I think they do it on a Tuesday, and then by Thursday, the opposition gets a chance to respond to the budget, meaning they get to do a speech in response. And by the weekend, everyone's forgotten about it. Right? So it really is a communications process that is controlled by the government and the media, meaning you don't have much control. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to, now I'm not going to build an agent for this as such, but you could automate this. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to work out how we could really, really quickly analyze all these documents, find out who the winners and losers are, and then put it through a number of lenses. So think about this as like building a brain that can help you analyze the information, find the winners and losers sort of dispassionately, put it through some political party sort of lenses, and then create a series of messages that party could put out into the world almost instantly after the budget comes out, like basically at the speed of the AI. And then what they do is they reverse the messaging. So if they put the material out like immediately, then the public's saying stuff. And then when the media comes in and says, what do you think of the budget? You don't actually just respond to the budget, you respond to what people are saying because you've already created it. You see what I mean? So you're sort of creating a message that you're putting out there really quickly, and then you talk about the real issues rather than what the government's agendaed issues are. Okay? And we might even write the speech that we would give in response to line up with all of the material we create. So we're creating kind of a fast response information campaign. But again, I'm using a political example, but you could do this on any topic. So if someone wanted to build a new building in an area, they wanted to demolish something, they wanted to build a highway through your house, they wanted to do whatever, you could use these techniques to kind of give yourself a voice to be able to respond. Okay, so what I've done in this folder here, I've added the budget papers. So what I've done is I've just downloaded all those things. So that's there. And then what I've done is I put a folder called comedy. This is techniques about how to be persuasive in a comedic way. So we're going to use that as a lens. There's nothing in there yet. We're going to create that. This is where we're going to put our communication pieces of content. This is where we're going to put our neutral analysis. This here has the sort of like the party political, like if I look at here, this is sort of the Liberal Nationals policy summary. I've got the Libertarians, I've got One Nation, I've got Labor and the Greens. So we've sort of got a mix of those. And then we've got the persuasion filter. And then we've got the points of debate. So what we're going to do is I'm going to connect to Cowork. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start an agent off. And what we're just going to do is we're going to look at the budget papers first. So I just asked the agent, I am a political budget analyst, and I'd like you to look at all the papers in the budget papers folder, and I'd like you to cursorily review the material. This is the Victorian state budget from last year for the Victorian Liberal Party. I would like you to just look at the potential winners and losers from the budget papers. And I'd like you to write me a document that shows me the constituents that will win and the constituents that will likely lose from the totality of the policy settings. Okay? Don't be biased. Just look at the facts. So this is going to spin up multiple agents in parallel to process those PDFs.
Yep.
So what I might do is to do some other stuff in parallel. I'll open up Claude Code just in the terminal, and I'll say, please set my project folder to document/frame. Okay. I would like you to write me a document in the folder titled Persuasion Filter that has a series of techniques in it to help you be more persuasive when writing communications to audiences of people, to people using tactics that are well tested. The ideas of Robert Cialdini, I think it is. Robert Cialdini in Persuasion, and people like his work would be a good start. Can you write me a document with all the techniques and put it in the folder? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to write a persuasion filter document that gives us the ideas. And what I might also do is I'll start a new window. So now we're going to run multiple agents all at the same time. Can you please analyze? I gotta go to set the project folder. Please set the project folder to document/brain. Can you please read all the documents in the party platforms folder and write me a summary of all the differences between parties in Victoria, and write me a document with the key differentiators. Okay. So now we're going to go in here and we're going to write between the different political parties. Okay. So we're writing the persuasion document. Persuasion filter. Okay, so this is all of our tactics: unity, contrast, loss aversion, the Ben Franklin effect, the Zeigarnik effect, primacy and recent effects, power of because, specific numbers signal credibility, identifiable victim effect. So what we're doing is we're building up a matrix of all of the tactics used by psychologists and persuasion experts around the world to basically create an argument in what we want to do. Okay, so we've got that. Should have Now, there was another thing I was going to do, comedy. So, I would also like to write a document in the folder called comedy that gives me a list of tips to make arguments in clever and funny ways. Channel authors like Scott Adams and others like him in the way he articulates jokes that land online and in other media spaces, and write me the document in the comedy folder. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to give another angle of our brain. So we've got persuasion tactics, and now we're also going to write a document about how to be funny. So now we're going to have funny, and we're going to be persuasive. We're going to have all our arguments, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stitch them all together.
I can't believe the power of this stuff. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Brain persuasion filter. Okay, so let's put a subfolder. It's going to go in there. So what I'm trying to show to you is, like, even if you don't have the skills to do something, you can basically go and borrow skills, write these reference documents, pull them together, and then when you actually do the work, you're actually going to have like some of the best techniques in the world at your fingertips. And so then when you go and create your persuasion angle, or the things you want to do to kind of, you know, it might be you want to write a letter to someone, you might want to oppose something, someone might want to build a 50-meter shed right on your boundary at your house. You know, what do you have to do to try and be most persuasive to go against council, or, you know, whatever it is. So you can use these techniques to build up an arsenal of sort of persuasion filters that you can then use to kind of create the messages that you want to create. And the crazy thing is the outputs are going to be very, very powerful. So here we go. We've got persuasion. So making arguments land with humor, why humor works in arguments, the absurd extension, the reframe, the unexpected agreement, the false confession, the thought experiment with teeth, the uncomfortable parallel, the deadpan observation. So these are all the funny techniques we can use. And AI knows all these, right? So you can draw on that in your content. So I might just grab that and I'll put it in the comedy folder. Okay. There we go. So we've got I'll just delete that one now. Trash. All right. So, okay. So we're reading all of our documents now. Party political crap. Okay, so the budget. Where did that end up? Documents brain. Okay, so it's just ended up in there. Right, so we have a methodology. We've read all of the documents. We've outlined all the winners. Just remember, this is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages. And the losers. Okay, so now we've got our vectors, right? We've got all our winners and all our losers. And that's a very detailed document. Even that is amazing. Like just being able to summarize thousands of pages in what is it? About 20 minutes, if that. All right, so now we've got to think about, we've got our document. Now we purposely asked it to just say who are the winners and who are the losers. We didn't put a political bias on it, right? So now what we want to do is we want to say, let's go and analyze this budget through the lens of the key conflict points between the party policies. Okay, so remember we did the analysis of the conflict points. So what we'll do is hopefully that's finished as well. So that's still working. Now, the purpose of this is to say, you know, if I look at the Labor policies and then I look at their budget, you'll probably find they're quite aligned, right? Because what they're trying to do is who they are. What we're going to do is we're going to find the points of tension. Okay, well, the green one's a bit buggered. I noticed the Greens PDF is actually the ACT Greens platform, not the Victorian Greens. Okay, good to know. So what I might do is, so in the folder points of debate, right? There's the neutral analysis should go in there. Party platforms is there. The persuasion filters in there. Yeah. So the humor budget papers are there. Okay, cool. So it really makes sense to keep these in a nice structure. So then when you go to actually do the next stage, okay. So now it's writing the comparison document between the 5 party platforms. So most of that work was really just to get it out of PDF so it could read it. Now it's actually doing the analysis, but it's important to note that that's the ACT Greens. So cool. All right, so okay, so this already knows this. Okay. Let's finish that first. I need that. I'm going to put that file, whatever that creates, in the points of debate.
What AI are you using here, Tim? Which one?
This here is Claude Code.
Yep.
This is Claude Co-work. But it's essentially the same technology underneath the hood.
Yep, okay.
The other thing I'd say is if you ever touch topics like this with Claude Code, be really careful in what you ask, because it has got a filter not to, you know, trying to spread disinformation information if it's political. So you kind of just want to look at it like everything you write's got to be like squeaky clean in terms of look at the pros and cons of something. Like it can't be, I want to use this to attack that party or whatever. So you just, so here we go. So we've got the party platforms. So we've got the summary. Okay, so now the agent's working through. Okay. Party platform comparison. There we go. So these are the points of contention on all the topics that's actually classified everything into. Okay, cool. So we've got that lens now. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that and we're going to put that in the points of debate. There we go. So now what I'm going to do, now this here has already read a lot of material. But what we're going to do is we're going to, I think, I'm pretty sure this. Okay, now, can you please do the following? I want you to read the Word document in the neutral analysis folder titled Victorian Budget 2025-26 Winners and Losers Analysis.doc. And then I'd like you to look at the budget outcomes through the lens of the points, through the material, through the lens of the material in the folder points of debate in the file called Victorian Party Platform Comparison.md. And then I'd like you to craft for me a detailed set of suggested communications to respond to the budget through the lens of the interests of the opposition, in this case, the Liberal National parties. And I'd like you to draw upon the techniques set out in the comedy folder in the file titled Humor in that's all, hang on, humor in argumentation.md, and also the persuasion techniques set out in the persuasion filter folder in the file called persuasion techniques.md file. I'd like you to create some copy material that could be used by the Liberal Party to respond to the budget on budget night through speeches, social media, and responses to media questions for the next day. Be detailed and modern and entertaining in your output. Now that is a crazy question. Like, just think about what I gave up. Like, it's going to go look at all that stuff. So it's going to read all those docs in parallel. It's crazy, eh?
Unbelievable.
And what we might do is, after that, we might build a website. Now it's using all of the comedy. It's using the persuasion guide. Now it's creating the document with all those outputs. It's even going to put it in Word format for me. So it's going to format it for me. What are we? We're 32 minutes in from when we started. The other thing we could do is we could also create a narrative throughout the day between a number of politicians about what they could say in what order of communications, so that they could dominate the media cycle for the next 48 hours. And maybe we'll do that, and we'll also create a website that we can put out straight away, and we can create a whole bunch of Facebook posts that you can send out to the party and send it out to everyone as well. And the cool thing is, once it does all this work, it kind of has all this in memory. So then I can kind of flex different techniques to get different outcomes for different audiences, build different artifacts. I don't have to go and read it all again. It's just already in memory. So you could do this technique, you know, preparing for meetings, big meetings at work, or you know, dealing with councillors that want to charge you permits to, you know, service your car in your backyard, stupid stuff like that. Like, you could really weaponize these techniques against an adversary, and I don't think they'd know what would hit them.
Yeah.
You can also look at this through like a legislative or legal lens as well. So if people put stuff out that's, you know, like if they're doing policy things or changes that may not be, you know, fully kosher, you can go find all the arguments as well. So you can actually figure out whether things, you know, what are the angles to fight something if someone's trying to, you know, strong arm you or marginalize you or something in any context. And it could be fair or not fair. It could be offensive, defensive, whatever you want. You could also use different tactics as well. Like, you could be kind of more of a victim, or you could be more of an offensive player. So I've just picked some persuasion filters, you know, comedy and persuasion, like how do I persuade someone something? But, you know, you could use different personas as well. Like, if you're the weaker party, how do you do it? If you're the stronger party, what do you do to defend against the weaker party? Whatever. So it's kind of a way That's why I called this one Rage Against the Machine, because you can use AI to kind of strategize or think about how you could best navigate a situation. Now it's drafting the communication material. So it's actually creating a JS file, which will then write the Word document. So it's right. So Microsoft Word is completely screwed, because now you can use code to write all your formatting. So if you're formatting a document now, just give it to Claude Cowork and say, format it for me, and it'll just punch out a document for you in perfect format. You don't have to format anything ever again.
And these data centers will be based, what, in America or all over the show?
Well, they'll be all over the show. At the moment, they're all in the US, basically, but there's a lot of talk about building ones out here in Australia as well.
Yeah. But you think all this is going all the way over there, going through their things? It's amazing, isn't it?
And pretty soon they're going to put them in space.
Yeah, I know. When I first started work, we were excited to get italics. It was a grouse feeling.
It makes you wonder where politics is going too, though. Like, can you imagine trying to compete against a machine that? Can you imagine if you had a data center with a machine like this, and it's like literally looking at the reactions of millions of people? I doubt they're going to, controlling elections is going to be crazy with this tech.
Mm.
All right, so now it's running that command, which means hopefully it's writing the document. So it's written the code to write the document. So this is the Liberal National Budget Response Playbook document. 334 paragraphs.
How accurate is this? Like, obviously you've got to review it, but.
Well, we'll have a look. I've found it's extremely accurate. And I've looked at, sort of really complicated things that I'm an expert on. And I've actually recently had sort of feelings of AGI. Like, I've actually gone, I couldn't write a document better than this. Like, I'm very experienced at some things in some topics, and I've written some documents and I've gone, gee whiz, this is really good. And even if it's not perfect, like, it gets it in a structure where it's close. And so, you wouldn't automate this. You wouldn't like just push this stuff out automatically. But like, you know what political types are like. They've got a guy in the office and they get the documents and they start reading it with the highlighter, and then they come up with some ideas. Like, you could just get the documents as soon as they're released, boom, do the analysis. Here we go. So where is it? Brain. Okay. So the playbook. Well, does that look like what they're actually doing? Hang on, I'll zoom it in.
Yeah, maxed out Victoria's credit card. Didn't think you were getting political.
Well, that's pretty much what they're saying at the moment.
Yeah. We're feeling it.
The debt time bomb, the tax squeeze, the priorities test, the persuasion architecture, loss aversion. Okay. The budget night speech. So sort of looks like, I hate to say it, but that's pretty much what's being said.
Yeah.
So, and they did this from first principles and off their documentation. Okay, this is the budget address, the savings mirage, the cost of living con, the social media package.
How much a day? Go back and just read that again, will you?
29.
29 million a day. I've heard 28 million a day.
Yeah. The tax attack, the regional play, the media briefing, detailed talking points for regional Victoria, Gippsland, Central Bendigo, Surf Coast, Mildura, Ballarat, the key lines. A surplus built on top of $167 billion of debt is like boasting about your savings account while your house is mortgaged. The debt's grown by $38 billion over the forward estimates. The interest is $29 million today. That's not a surplus. That's a credit card statement with a pleasant cover letter.
Pretty good.
It's also the largest debt and the largest interest bill, blah, blah, blah. So again, I'm not trying to push politics here, but just think about the power of those variables we've been able to put into some pretty powerful attack lines. Good policy, bad budgeting. We support Kinder. The question is, how do you pay for it? Blah, blah. Constructive, not destructive. Specific, not vague. Forward-looking, not bitter. Dry, not cruel. We do not mock costs of living recipients. We do not begrudge families their free kinder. We do not attack frontline workers, nurses, AMBOs. We do not deny the infrastructure matters. Punch down. Punch up, never punch down. Target the government decisions, treasury spin, project blowouts. Never target families, welfare recipients, or public servants. Yeah, so it's pretty good. Liberals would cut services. We'd cut the suburban rail loop. That's a project, not a service. No nurse would lose their jobs. No teacher get. In fact, this is better than what they're saying.
Yeah, it is.
We have
Can you send this to One Nation?
Yeah. I might send a video of this clip.
We're not getting political, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so what else was I going to do? So let's build a website. All right. So based on that, please create for me a document with a heap of regionally based posts for social media to put out in the morning. Do a collection across seats across the state based on local issues.
Can you mention rural roads and see what it does?
Content, and also have some about rural roads. Okay. Boom. So this could be like, so we've done the analysis, we've got our tips document. Now we're actually going to like focus in on, I want a whole series of tweets that we're going to put out in the morning, region by region. So draft seat by seat social media posts, draft rural roads campaign posts, create Word document with full social media package. So we're going to do that. And the idea would be you then send that out to the party, you know, like to all the people, like this is your thing you got to do. They can choose whether they use it, but it's probably a good suggestion.
I mean, the newspapers and that'd be beside themselves, wouldn't they?
Well, this is what I'm talking about, Bruce. So build this out, put the attack lines out straight away, get feedback from all the social media posts from the public. And then when the media comes in with their preordained questions that are through the lens of the agenda of the government, you can just have the attack lines ready to just counterpunch and say, all your lines are BS because this is what the public's saying. Do you see what I mean? Like you actually start to switch the pendulum from defense to offense straight away.
Yeah.
And I would hate if you were working for one party and they were working the traditional way, you're just going to crush them on speed.
Yeah. That's right. It's a lot quicker to review and refine than it is to draft and start.
Well, like you wouldn't even be able to realistically read. You know, there's probably 3,000 pages of documentation. It's all like budget paper, boring stuff. Like it's very hard to. You got to draw the meaning out. What, like, who's benefiting, who's not benefiting. Get the meaning, and then punch out the arguments.
Mm.
So we're now writing the script to run the next file. But I'd also say, like, you could use this tactic to write strategy documents, communications for companies. You know, you might work for a big company and the company's got some big change coming. How can I use persuasion tactics and information about that change and make sure it's got the right legal parameters and the right messaging in the right company format? That would be another use of this technique. You would just grab all that collateral, you'd put it in the right frame, and then you'd create the material. So it doesn't have to be it's not like just a political engine. It could just be, I'm trying to drive some sort of change or influence in my sector or my company or whatever. And if you note those persuasion hooks, so those persuasion hooks that I created, those hooks are like based in psychology, and if you use them, the audience will react. They might not. It's human nature. And so if you wanted to build a social media enterprise or operation, if you infuse those tactics into the content you produce, you'll get more engagement on your page. So if you're a local business person, you want to build a page that's interesting in your local area to try to drive influence, this would be a valid technique as well. It's it creates much better marketing copy because you'll get sort of a reaction, positive, negative, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're just getting attention for your business. So, okay, so now we're creating. It's finishing up now. I think the next thing we'll do is we'll build a response website, so you can actually see what's in the budget through your argumentative lens. You can deploy off, say, a social media link in advertising tomorrow. So here we go. So here's the deployment schedules. So the link post from the leader and shadow treasurer accounts. It's 6 to 6. It's 6:30 to 7:30. All these guys go. 7 to 9, the rural roads campaign posts go, and then you at 9 a.m. you reshare the best performing posts. There you go. Post 1, Box Hill. Post 2, Ringwood. Post 3, Glen Waverley. Post 4, Hawthorne Q. Bang. There's everything you're going to put out on the media that day. Regional seats, things that didn't happen in the Valley, Traralgon, Saley's, Gippsland Lakes Entrance, Seymour. They're all personalised. They're all specific to the region based on the budget. Jesus, you got every seat.
It's also got major highways too.
It's also got the deployment checklist. Yeah. So you get the idea of that one. Now what we'll do is we'll say attached to the social media posts, we would like to add a HTML website that has details about the response and has details about all the problems in the budget from the Liberals' perspective. Make the page persuasive and fun, but also seriously lay things out in a good structure. Create the page in HTML. So if you're going to do the post out, you're going to put the URL, you're going to boost that post, you're going to pay a little bit of media marketing. So we're going to build the web page to go with it. Now the budget papers came out at 8 o'clock. I think they came out a little bit earlier than that, but they came out at 8 o'clock. And by 8:52, we've already got all the social media pages for tomorrow, our response, all the attack lines, the website to attach. We're all ready to rock and roll.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so we've got the playbook, the response schedule. I'll let that go.
Jim, what do you think's the best AI agent to use? Really, like I've been playing with Copilot because it's free and it's on my computer. You know, for just a minimal usage, but just to play around, I don't mind paying a bit.
There's sort of a nuanced answer to that. If you want coding and hardcore power, Claude is crushing them all at the moment. It's doing really, really well. And these co-work tools and the skills are just so much far ahead of the others. Having said that, Google is very strong as well. And Google comes for free with a workspace plan. So if you've got like a Google workspace, you can get Google for free. So that's kind of a good set of tools you could use as well.
Yeah.
Grok is very, very powerful as well, but it doesn't have obviously the co-work tools and all that yet. But Grok comes included in, I think it's X Premium Plus. So if you enjoy X, you could just get an X account and then get it with it.
Yeah.
If I'm really honest, I like all three because they all do different things, and I think they have different perspectives and different skills. Like Google can link in with YouTube really powerfully, and it's also got really cheap tokens. So if you want to build apps, it's probably the best, to use with tokens because they're much more affordable. And it's a very integrated platform, so it's quite nice. And it goes into the Google Workspace stuff. But yeah, if I was going to say the winner, like if I was just going to spend $20, I'd get Claude. Just no qualms. That would be number one. And Copilot, I wouldn't even bother using it. It's just so bad.
I know, but I've been playing around it. You look at your computer and it's there.
Yeah,
it actually did me a favor this week, so I wouldn't, write it off immediately. I'm not doing code and all that.
Yeah.
Someone else asked me that same question the other day because I was telling about what I was doing, and I just doubled down. So the Claude is absolutely amazing for formatting documents, Excel, spreadsheets, coding. It crushes it. Like, you just cannot beat it. Gemini I find amazing for image generation. So if you're trying to generate images for marketing, etc., I find the Nano Banana part of that really good. Like, my wife was able to take photos of the outside of our house and then just said, look, can you please paint our house? And then uploaded a specific color she found and magically painted our house a different color. It actually went through and edited and changed windows and lift the roof, and she did a whole bunch of stuff. And like, she's no AI expert at all. And like, it was just very, very simple. Claude absolutely sucked at doing that. Like, it was terrible. It was worse than my 4-year-old's drawings. Like, Claude will not do images at any sort of skill compared to what that would. And then I would say, I know Tim hates chat, but my counter to chat is that I find ChatGPT is very good at being your best friend. It uses all the previous conversations as context. It's very good for bouncing ideas off in terms of like marketing or business ideas, or just literally like you're sitting with your mate at the pub, just chewing the fat. Copilot is terrible. And I would say Grok is similar to ChatGPT. So currently I pay for Gemini, Chat, and Claude, but I would find myself using Claude all day. I keep tapping out on my tokens.
How much is Claude, a month or a year or whatever?
Claude's for me. I'm paying I'm on the Pro plan, and it's $30 a month, which is, I should upgrade to the $100 a month plan because, as I said, I keep punching out on tokens. And the really annoying thing is that the only thing I would say against Claude is, and I'm finding this on the Pro plan, is you can only use 194,000 tokens before the chat just locks out. That's the end of the chat. You can't do anything more. You're locked in. So the first thing I do when I get on Claude now is go, hey, can you please set reminders for when we've used 80% and 90% of the tokens on this chat? And then when I get to 90%, I then get to write a summation of the entire chat, and then I use that as a reference and then start a new chat. So the current thing I'm working on at the moment, I'm up to chat number 4, and I just have looped. So it's effectively looped them together. So whereas ChatGPT, no problems. Like, it actually is quite witty and will remember conversations from 2 months ago and actually throw a punchline in or throw a joke in based upon the conversation we had 2 months ago, which is very much like I said, it's like chatting to your mate at the pub.
Yeah.
There you go. That's my 2 cents.
I'd agree with most of that. The only thing I would say though is, and it's always you get what you pay for. I've got the $100 plan of Claude, and it obliterates the $20 plan. Like, that 190,000 things, it goes to 2 million. So you've got 10 times the power. It automatically compresses stuff for you. It has all the tool use stuff. And like you saw tonight, like, it just read all those documents and just crushed it. If you did that in a standard one, it probably would have bombed out and not worked. So, and the way I look at it is this, is it's $100 US a month, which GST is 110. So it's $160 a month Australian, right? But the way I break that down in my mind is, okay, so I'm spending about $40 a week. Now, I'm on a very high salary, and $40 a week out of my salary, it makes my life and my job way, 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 way more productive. And I actually think if you're not making that investment at the moment and somebody else does make the investment, their life's going to be easier. And like, think about it. Like if your employer pays you, and I'm just going to use a round number. If someone said, I'm going to pay you $2,000 a week to do your job, and you're going to spend $40 on a tool that's going to make that job 50% easier at higher quality, and you're going to have more fun, and it's going to be, you know, a better experience, I would just say you can write half of it off on tax.
You wouldn't even question it.
So it's like $20, and I'm like, okay, so I'm earning $2,000. I'm spending 1% of my income to really probably 10x my capability and probably double my quality quotient. Like, to protect your income, you'd be crazy not to, because it's just like going and doing a course or learning education, or like, I just see it as like it's so cheap. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, look at this website. So we've created this website. So yeah, it's just gone off and vibe coded that for us. I think you could probably create these.
Look at the debt clock there.
Yeah.
5,000 a second.
Yeah, so the whole point here wasn't to create a party political ad for the Liberal Party. The point of it was we can use AI to create a brain, and we can put any set of parameters we want. So the brain might be, I want to behave like a computer scientist or an engineer, and then I want to kind of persuade someone to buy a new piece of technology. That could be and we could say, let's use the persuasion principles, the technical principles, and company policy or something like that, the company strategy. So you might say, hey, the company strategy says X, there's a new technology coming, we really need to buy it to invest in some sort of business opportunity. But then what we can do is we can use those other persuasive techniques to basically write copy or material. So when you write the business case to the executive, it's going to be much more persuasive and clearer to understand. And what we could also do is we could also use storytelling. So one of the things in business is, how do I take a document and turn it into a story? We could actually take some of the best writers in the world around techniques to tell stories. And then we could like put the business case through that lens. And so the output will be a lot more a kind of a narration. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's all I had in terms of presentation tonight. But just have a think about those lenses and how you could take documents to the next level in terms of scope. And even for a student, Harper, you could use those techniques to write an assignment that is more persuasive. So if you had an English assignment and you were trying to put across some sort of argument, you could go and leverage some of the best thinkers in the world in terms of persuasion, and then you could put your work through that lens. So you could create stories that are going to be more coherent.
Yeah.
But old teachers are going to get bloody confused, aren't they? They're going to see all this coming in.
Yeah, I think on the education front, I think we're increasingly going to see super students coming through. Like if students start to master this kind of stuff, it gives them a level of agency way beyond what traditional education was designed for. So I think it's going to have to become a lot more kind of, you need to be able to prove, because if you looked at what I did tonight, there was still a lot of logic in what I was doing. Like I still needed to think through each step to create the cohesive arguments. I still needed to understand the variables I was working with. And so I think education is going to become much more kind of, here's a task, but you're going to have to show me the reasoning through that task of how you got to the outcome. And then I think the quality bar for the outputs is going to have to be a lot higher. And I also think, in the past, we learned in silos. If you did marketing, you learned just these sort of set of techniques. I think now you're going to have to write the website. You're going to have to be the social media expert. You're going to have to be technically adept at the communications as well. You're going to need domain knowledge in whatever you're working on. Because you've got the AI now, you can kind of build a much bigger skill set. So I think doing things in individual subjects now is not going to make much sense. Which kind of means all of our products are not aligned properly. Means our industrial relations doesn't work. The way we set up our organizations doesn't work. It's going to be quite disruptive, I think. Yeah.
Hey, Bruce, I'll show you my little. Timmy, you okay if I just show off for a sec?
Yep.
How do I even do this? I've never shared on this.
It's like the little down the
that
bottom.
one. Try that. Everybody can see that?
Not yet.
Yeah. Here it comes. Yep.
Yeah.
Rattling down the pipe.
Yep.
This is my little drawing software. So long story short, I'm obviously a designer. I engineer. I draw and do stuff all day, every day. Anyway, so I got Claude to code this up in a couple of hours, really. So the intention of this is really that I can draw anything and I can then give it to someone who's got like a CNC laser cutter, CNC router, any of that sort of 2D flat sort of work. And I can then I can import existing drawings, I can edit them, I can save them off, I can then also open PDFs and trace over the top of them and then send it off if I want to go get it cut. And then, you can draw lines wherever you want. You can actually put a specific length in at a different angle. So you can put lines in, you can put rectangles in. It'll actually tell you, you can put in like a 1200 by 2400 sheet of steel. You can draw polylines. Oops, missed it. Polylines. You can delete things. You can scale things.
So what this is like a free, your homemade version of AutoCAD or something?
Yep. That's exactly what it is. So basically, I mean, I actually pay for AutoCAD, but I've got this one, and the idea is I'm just going to stick this behind a paywall. It's a light HTML file. So this, what you can do is anyone can open this. This actually works even on my iPhone. It's 190 kilobytes at the moment. So the idea is I'm just going to charge it off at $5 a month. Anyone can access it for $5 a month. They can even just open a PDF and save it as DXF, or open a DXF and save it as a PDF. And there's also a bunch of tools that I've added in. So like if you're going to try and get this laser cut and the ends of your lines don't quite join up, which is always a problem if you're laser cutting, you can then check the gaps and it'll tell you nothing within 3 millimeters. I've obviously got that wrong. Let's see if I can make that really close. You go check the gaps and it should come back and say, this one's within 3 millimeters. I can actually nest things. So I can draw like one thing and then go nest, and my router bit might be 5 millimeters in diameter. And I'll actually then go and place as many as it would possibly fit with a 5 mil gap between them all. It's got snaps. So, you can actually draw accurately from endpoint. So you can actually snap on an endpoint to then a midpoint. To an endpoint, so you can actually do things. You can then draw.
And you built this yourself?
Yep, I did half of this during the hour and a half of this. What Tim was talking about today.
God, how's that, eh?
Yep.
And you could earn a few bucks off this.
So if I could get 100 people pay me $5 US a month for it, it's not bad little. And all I got to do is host it on a website. And the beauty of it is that even though it's a web page, all the files remain local. So there's no information. Like I don't have my web page never actually has the huge data traffic. I don't have to like take care of people's files. There's no privacy issues. I mean, the only issue I do have is someone getting in there and going, because it's HTML, like someone can actually just pay the $5 and go right click, copy, view source, and copy the code. Yeah. But, you know, hasn't exactly cost me a lot to do it.
No. Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Randal,
yep.
Think about the technique we had tonight and think about how could I use a set of persuasion filters to write some marketing copy that would persuade people that are into this stuff to buy this tool because it's useful. Like what market I mean, you'd probably sell it in, you might sell it in the third world, you might sell it where, you know, for students, what are those angles? Create those marketing copies, and then you could run experiments. You could say, we're going to run this experiment, we're going to stand up these ads, and we're going to punch it into these audiences on Facebook or Google or whatever. And so you could actually use the technique we learned tonight to build all of the emotive calls to action to get people to buy it.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. It's got layers too, so you can actually do, you know, if you've got like a outline that you want cut, but then you want etched line so that there's a bend line, so the laser will actually sit there and like etch a line. So once it's all cut, you can then stick it in your folder and actually know where you're going to fold it around. So you can do all that. You can turn them on and off so that you've only got.
We should do an AI company, Randal. You or me?
Sign me up. I actually spoke to a business. Anyway, I should chat to you later about it.
Oh, hang on. I'm interested to listen.
I was going to say, you need this like the US where you just put it all on a paywall and the laser cut piece of steel shows up in the mail. That's all you need.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So I actually have a CNC router in my workshop here, and I got a CNC plasma as well. So the big picture was I was going to offer this as part of the like you're referring to like a send cut send website.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean that website is amazing. If anyone's in that sort of fabrication market, just go on there and you will just drool. It is just incredible what that website they've achieved in such a short time. Yeah, I'm trying, but it's going to take a while to compete with those boys.
So you can just send that. You can send a drawing, no laser, and they send it out to you.
Yeah, 100%.
All parts and that.
Yep, and you can choose whether you want it out of aluminium, stainless, mild steel. And the beauty with Send Cut Send is that you can choose, if you buy one, it might be $8. If you buy two, it might be $7.50. If you buy 10, it'll come down to $6. And then if you buy 100, it'll come down to $5.50. And like the more you buy, the cheaper it gets.
Wonder where they're based.
They're in America, but they ship worldwide. But I mean, there are companies in Australia that try and do it.
Yeah.
The beauty with Send Cut Send is like they now have a contract with, say, Autodesk Fusion. So if you're modeling in Autodesk Fusion, which is a high-end 3D software, you can actually send it out of your design software straight to Send Cut Send, and they will just cut it and it'll just turn up on your doorstep 48 hours later.
Amazing, isn't it?
Could you have like plates for farm gates? You know, like the family name or whatever, or like customized fire pits.
Yep.
You go in and type the name of the person you care about, and you'll cut out a fire pit and send it to them. It could be, and like if you just built this tool into like an e-commerce flow, you could probably launch a business off the back of it, and then I'll just stick it on my webpage with 35,000 forward drivers, and I'll start buying them. Yeah.
So how can you protect that though, Randal? You're saying it's in HTML, so you can't really.
So, and look, if I'm boring people, just tell me to stop. So there are a couple of things you can do. Funny enough, I actually asked AI how to fix it, how to do that. So there are a couple of things called obfuscation. Is that right, Tim?
You could probably just write a full stack app. Like you could just convert this into something more complicated, and then it'd hide all the code, so you wouldn't be able to get it.
You're right. You could actually make it, and they actually said, is it PWA? Is that the right initials? Where it basically installs a web page as an app on your PC, so you can just double click on it. It opens up Windows Explorer or whichever is your preferred internet provider, and then it'll actually bring up the app. So you can do it that way. Like Tim said, you can make it a full stack. You could actually just make it as an exe file. I like this just because it's super light. As I said, it opens on any browser. It doesn't require anything super special. And yeah, I can just put it behind a paywall. So you just have to log in. Once you log in, if your login's still current, knock yourself out. I mean, I can't see too many people are going to. My plan is to make it hard enough that the general person is not going to have a crack at trying to steal it. And if I make it cheap enough, who's going to steal it when it's $5 a month?
Yeah.
But you need one YouTube four-wheel driver channel to cut a bracket for his intercooler, and you're done. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing though, Randall, too, is like I find you can build a website. It's not actually building the product isn't the hard bit. It's actually getting someone to find it, click on it, and pay.
Yeah.
That is the absolute challenge. And so the persuasion lens of how do you persuade someone to actually do it? You almost want the transaction to be, you want the person to have decided to do it before they even hit the website. The website is just kind of like the final step. It's the messaging that gets them there. The tool is just kind of like, okay, what do I need to do to get what I want?
So these are these. Yep. So you can actually get stuff machined. You can get stuff anodized off these boys. Like you just drop your thing on there, and it'll tell you. If I got it.
Have they got a tool like this? Could you sell this tool to them, maybe?
I think they do actually nothing about it. Yeah, see, theirs is like you can go, I want kind of whichever. Pick that, and then you can go, I want this to be fucking 2 inches. It isn't that. Anyway, you can sit there and muck around with it, and then go, that's what I want. And then, do you want it in all these different materials? Let's make it out of aluminium, whichever thickness you want. There you go, $13.
Where's the price? Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, I got it.
But then look at that. So if you get 2 of them, it's down to $10. 10 of them, it's $8, and then you get 100 of them, it's $5.
And that's delivered.
Yep, 12th of Feb.
Unreal, isn't it?
That's cool.
Lot of little workshops are going to feel it.
Well, yeah, absolutely, because you can do one-offs.
Yeah.
Like all that prototype. And look, they're actually pretty cheap if you do big batch runs. Like you can see once you start getting down here, like you start running big copies, that's what's that third.
Yeah. Pretty interesting, pretty good.
Anyway, I'll stop blabbering on now.
That's appreciated. Thanks, Randall.
I might have a go this week, Bruce, at your I was having a think, I just didn't get a chance to do it, the cattle buying portal.
Yep,
But I think I'll use the agent to tell me what I should build, what would be most useful for the stakeholders.
Yep.
And then I'll get it to engineer it all for me, and then I might bring that. I might try that this week just for fun. And next week we might validate that as one activity, and then we'll do something that I'll figure out between now and then.
Yes, yeah. Starts for store cattle.
Yep.
And I started to put a few notes down, but I got sidetracked. So,
well, if you send me something before I go and ask the AI, but yeah, the API, there'll be certain data there, so I'll get it to sort of come up with what it thinks is a good data framework for it, and then we'll get something up.
Do you think? I mean, this is probably impossible. Do you think you could do a predictor? Like what I'm saying is, I know I'm going over old ground here, but I went to Wangaratta the other week. Given the given the conditions, as in, you know, it's dry at the minute, it's dry throughout Victoria with the fires. It'd be interesting to see if we could develop a predictor so you could be looking at those types of cattle and work out whether you think that market's going to be, I mean, obviously the only way to do it is go there, but to work out if you think that market's going to be less expensive.
I'll have a think. Yeah, I'll have a think.
I'll try and look, what I'm going to put together is pretty basic, but I'll have a bit of a think about it as well.
I did build an app today that looked at, there's this really unique, and I've been banging on about my page, so apologies if you already read it, but the Chinese government is subsidizing the hell out of EVs. And then there's this thing called the NEVs, NVES, which basically means expensive cars have to give money to EVs. And I looked up what, so like a $36,000 car is actually like $59,000. But because they get the certificate, they can actually sell it cheaper. And then the Chinese government tips some in. And then because you can get FBT free as well, and you get the GST off as well, and then you're only paying it down to 13, you can essentially take like quite a reasonable EV car and get it down to like it's like the tanker. It's about $130 a week to have this car, total cost. Like it's a tank of gas. And I actually did the research to find out what are all the input components of those subsidies. And then if you've got the 4-hour free plan, you can charge it for nothing as well, and you can still claim the tax on it. So like this car is just literally, it's like 10 subsidies all the way down. So the thing's like basically free. And it's like, I was doing the numbers, I was like, this is crazy. They're gonna just crush. They're really, really trying to incentivize these things. But if all those things disappear, that car is going to explode in value in a few years. So it could be one of the situations where you could buy a car now, and in 3 years' time, it's going to be almost double the price. So you're sitting there going, well, why wouldn't I buy one of those now? Because
can I run my house off it in the evenings?
You might be able to. I think some of the Chinese cars have vehicle to grid. The problem is you need a new box that's certified, and they're about $8,000 at the moment. So not really, but yeah, you might actually be able to say, you know, I'm going to run this car until the battery sort of becomes dead, because they don't usually die. They just sort of you know, and you could run your house off it then. I think there's going to be this whole industry of like hacking. At the moment, it's all under control and it's all regulated, but like people are going to set up dual electrical systems in their house, I reckon. You know, run 2 sets of lights, one off a battery off solar that's not connected to the grid.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like, because if you could get like old car batteries and connect them to, you know, your lights, and because what do you use in a house? A fridge, a TV, some lights. So
my neighbour's done that. He's got a 20-foot container full of batteries.
Yeah,
and he just does exactly that. And he's a bit of a buyer and seller, so he's always on the lookout for a better deal. And he's done it. You know, he's had an electrician, obviously, but he's done it all himself.
Yeah. I always said years ago, I said, when blokes like me start doing renewables, I said the grid is going to completely collapse because you'll just work it out and then you just won't need the grid. So
no,
but we're not there yet, I don't think. But I don't know. The subsidies are looking pretty juicy at the moment.
Problem is we don't drive that bloody far, and if we do, we go north where there's kangaroos, and I don't want to drive an EV. So
yeah.
Out comes the trusty F truck.
Hey, Tim, that graph that you did and put on Facebook where it was like the total cost and that bar graph, was that Claude or was that one of the other ones? Was that Grok that did that?
That was Claude. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That made a really complicated issue super simple.
Yeah. There's another one I did around Marimekko charts are really good as well. You can break down data. Like I did one the other day of like all the auto manufacturers, by volume of cars by sub-brand. And so you could kind of see left to right who the biggest automakers in the world.
Ah, right.
I found that one quite, because it was like, Toyota, Lexus, and Denso, whatever it is. That was the biggest, and then VW Group, and then, it goes down. But the Chinese automakers are quite large. They're getting pretty big. So, so all fun and games. So I hope you learned something tonight around how to. I actually did pitch that stuff to a couple of politicians, and they weren't interested. So complete, absolute.
I was just going to say you should be emailing that to the Liberal Party.
And I met with their people, and they weren't interested. So
unbelievable, isn't it?
So state government not interested. And you know what it was? They were terrified because that was their job, and they just saw threat. So they just basically gave me a polite meeting and then told me to sod off. So
we've got no
imaginary party and put it online.
Huh?
Just change it to an imaginary party and put it online.
Yeah.
Just do it. Make a fake website, a bunch of accounts, just put it all online, see if you get traction.
Yeah. It's a good, I don't know why you wouldn't want that. I reckon it's pretty powerful. And it goes to everything, though. It doesn't have to be like a state budget. It could just be, what policy was announced this week. How do we respond to it? It could just be these little tiny micro things that are happening. It might be the TAC report just came out, about traffic accident levels, or the CFA is a hot one at the moment. Everyone's.
What about the gun laws?
Gun laws, CFA.
That would just be a Monty, the gun laws, wouldn't it?
The hate laws. There's a lot of things that require some careful analysis and some persuasion to sort of push a direction, and it can be on either side. You can just use the technique on either side, but whoever gets the best at it is probably going to be run rings around the others. So
yeah, unbelievable.
So, all right, guys, thanks for coming.
Thanks all.
Thanks, buddy.
Very informative. Thank you.
Ciao.
See ya.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya. Thanks, guys.